Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Or this morning? It's 5:01 a.m. I went to bed last night at like 10 o'clock. And I woke up like 3 or 4 times throughout the night. And it was like the fan was perfect. And the temperature in the room was perfect. And the bed felt perfect. And it was just so comfortable that I was like, I just don't want to move. I'm just so comfortable. I actually brought some water with me, a color changing cup, and then I also brought LaCroix. I think this is a hibiscus. Oh no, this is the cranberry. This is my last one of these. I actually need to go to Target today, and I need to buy some more LaCroix, because I think I have one limoncello left. Oh, I have a case of the pamplemousse, but a case is like 8 or 9 cans. There's not a lot in a case. Somebody recommended on my vlog, I think it was last night, they said, instead of always saying this is going to be a short vlog and it ends up being like an hour or so, why don't you just go with the flow? So I think we'll try that. And my friend Stephanie also said, all that we need in an outro is, I love you. So that being said, right now, while you're watching this, I never say this at the beginning, I rarely say this at the beginning. If you guys could give this video a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. It's interesting because whenever I say that at the beginning of the video, I always get a lot more dislikes on my vlog, because all the people that don't like me that are watching this, you know, they like are reminded to dislike the video as well. So it kind of works out that way, you know what I mean? But anyway, so if you could like this video, I would really, really appreciate it. Yeah, and thank you for subscribing. And that's all I'll say, if you're already subscribed. Anyway, what a great day today was. What is this? Oh, I have my bank stuff in here because I went to the bank earlier. I'm looking for I need my lip balms and glosses and all that stuff to get this video started, because you know I'm gonna need all of that. What a great day today was. And I feel extremely rested right now. I actually don't know that I'm going to go back to bed, because even though I only got like 6 hours of sleep, I slept late yesterday. I slept in yesterday. Well, so when I got done vlogging, I listened to like an hour of the August book club book, because I have to have it done by Sunday. Which is interesting, because so if you don't know what the book is that we're reading, I can't remember the title of it. It's like Flowers of the August Moon, the starting of the FBI in the Osage County in Oklahoma, or something like that. So many people have said that they don't like this book this month, that I was like really apprehensive about starting it. I really wasn't excited about starting it. And I listened to the first hour last night, and I really like it. Like, I really like it. It's very interesting to me. I don't know anything about what they're talking about in this book. It's about anyway, I don't even know how to get into explaining it. But it's about these murders that were occurring on the Osage Reservation in like the early 1900s. Before there was really even police and any kind of like set up law enforcement. And the Osage tribe had tons and tons of money, because they were moved out of, I can't remember where, I think maybe Kansas, and set up on a reservation in Oklahoma. And where they were set up, later found that there was tons of oil there. So they had to, I think I'm getting this right, so anybody that wanted to drill for oil, they had to pay the Osage tribe to drill there. And so they talked about, so it's interesting, like the whole backstory is very, very interesting. Not to mention the whole treatment of different Native American tribes in our country, like it's interesting, and how that's all portrayed and how they were treated today and back then. I think the book is great. I'm very interested in it. It's interesting to read it and to see how it plays out today. So, but I don't know, maybe 3 hours in I'll be so completely bored I don't want to listen to it anymore. I did finally finish the Hank Green book last night, Beautifully Foolish Endeavor. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was good. I thought it was interesting. If I had read it faster, I probably would have liked it more. It just really dragged in parts to me. I felt like it attempted to be more than it needed to be. Do you ever read a book when you can tell that the author is kind of in love with their own voice? Like, it seemed a lot like that to me at parts. Like Hank Green was really trying to prove a point. I don't know. It wasn't bad. It's one of those books that I think I will definitely remember and look back on. It's so unique, and I think that it really has there's a real point to the book. I probably would have given it 4.5 stars if you could do that on Goodreads, but you can't. You can only give it, solid stars. Because I think the message of the book is fantastic. And basically, there's a lot of messages, but one of the messages is that we really can't do anything alone. We have to, we do things together, working together to accomplish goals in this world. And it also talked a lot about the toxicity of social media and the power and the toxicity that kind of play against each other. It was good. But it just was like, for me, it just dragged in places. And I don't know, maybe that's just because I, wasn't listening to it very fast. So, I got that done, came home, or did I vlog early yesterday? I feel like I vlogged early yesterday. I don't remember. I don't think I did. I don't think I vlogged early yesterday. And then I came home and I watched 2 episodes of Grace and Frankie. And I went to bed. Was yesterday when I got the Maggianos? My days are totally blurring into each other. Yesterday was the day that I got the Maggianos. So yeah, I did vlog early. So anyway, that's what I did in the evening. I drove around and I listened to those audiobooks. Oh, I know what happened. Yeah, okay. So I got the Maggianos and I came home and I was like, we were gonna watch RuPaul's Drag Race, and I shouted upstairs. I was like, hey babe, I'm home with the Maggianos. Silence. I was like, babe? So I put the bag down in the kitchen. I literally had texted him, and was like probably half an hour before, and was like, I'm getting this food or whatever. Well, when I was at Maggiano's picking up the food, it was so much that I texted him. I said, I hope you're really hungry, and he didn't respond. And I was just like, oh, he's probably watching TV or something. So anyway, I get home and I'm like, babe, So I go upstairs and he is completely asleep, crashed out. And I was like, hey babe, are you hungry? I brought that Maggiano's home. And he was like, I'm so sorry. He was like, can you please put it in the refrigerator for me? He was like, I'm so tired right now. He was like, I think everything just caught up with me this last week. He just really hadn't gotten a lot of sleep in the last week, so I put it in the fridge for him. He slept straight through the evening. That's why I ended up going and listening to the audiobook. So I don't know what time that was, 8 o'clock, 7:30, something like that. He went to bed and he didn't wake up until this morning. He was so tired. Poor guy, I felt so bad for him. So tonight he heated up his lasagna and he was like, oh my God, it was delicious. It was so good. Tonight we watched RuPaul's Drag Race. I actually had, because last night I came home and ate extra leftover of my Maggiano's. Their garlic bread, can I just tell you, is so delicious there. It's like an appetizer that you have to order, but trust me, it's totally worth it. I had hummus and pita bread, little pieces of pita bread tonight is what I had for dinner. And we watched RuPaul's Drag Race. Well, it's their Vegas review show that they're doing. It's like a reality show about their Vegas review, but I like that. I like it. It's good. Alex isn't real thrown out with it. He's like, I don't know what I think about this show. I'm like, you don't like it? And he was like, I don't know. He's like, it's okay, but I like it. And then he's watching some show on Netflix, some English show on Netflix. So that's what he was watching upstairs. But anyway, that was my evening last night and tonight. Slept in today, got up, and took the dogs out, did my prayers and meditations and all that stuff. And then I was like, okay, I said I was going to do this stuff. I'm going to do this stuff. I know I'll feel better after I did it. So I texted my sponsor and I was like, can you give me the number of this family physician? And then I already had the physical therapist number from Valerie. And then I called, this is interesting. They changed this light. It used to be flashing red and now it's flashing yellow. They changed it. Probably because so many people were just stopping there and they didn't know what to do. So anyway, so the first call that I made was to, well, my sponsor texted me right back. And then I called Alex's back doctor, spine doctor, who's actually a family friend of ours. And I called his office to set up an appointment and got this, I think it was his nurse actually that I talked to. She was extremely nice. And I was kind of explaining the situation to her, and she was so nice. And I was like, listen, I don't want to complain, but here's kind of the situation I've been going through with this other office. And she was like, I'm not going to ask you names. And she was like, but we experience a lot of that from other people. And she's like, you know, there's just like, and she was like even really kind of, I mean, not like defensive of their office, the other office, but she was like, you know, there's just an overload of people that have back pain today. And I think that people get real frustrated and they think that people are like med seeking and things like that. And I said, I totally understand that, but like, that's not who I am. And I talked to her about my sobriety, and I mean, it wasn't that long of a phone call. It was 5 minutes maybe, but anyway, maybe like 10 minutes, I don't know. But then I talked to her about like having had the MRI done and the blood work and all that kind of stuff. And so he's in the office on the north side 2 days a week, and he's full on Thursday. He's there Tuesdays and Thursdays. He's full on Thursday. And the south side of Indianapolis is like really far for me to drive. So I'm going in there next Tuesday. I think 11:15 a.m. is my appointment. And then she told me that I need to go get a copy of the disc at the imagery center that I had the MRI taken from. And I was like, is that something that like they can just like send you? And she was like, well, it's going to be a lot of paperwork. It'd just be easier for you to go pick it up. So I was like, okay. And then I said, I also need to find a physical therapist, or should I just wait until I talk to him? And she said, please wait. She said, a lot of people start, you know, things before. And she was like, I think it would be better if he'll be able to look at your imagery and tell you what the plan is going forward. And we also have physical therapists that we specifically work with, that we communicate with. It felt like a more, what do they say, a well-oiled machine, you know? It seemed so much more in line. Like, even I said to her, like, I'm looking for a new family physician. Is that something I should schedule now, or should I wait? And she said, I mean, you can if you want to. She was like, but we actually have several family practice people that we work with, and if you want everybody kind of in the same network. And she wasn't talking about networks of like insurance. She was like, together, so that everybody understands all of your medical problems, your recovery, and everything together. She was like, there's several people that we can recommend to you and get you in pretty quick. And I was like, I felt so empowered when I got off the phone with this woman. Like, I felt so inspired and so motivated. I was like so full of hope, you know? And so I said, okay. And so we set up the appointment, and she said, I'll send you the paperwork, you know, when we get off here for pre-registration, and you can fill this all out. And I said to her, because the last place sent that to me too, and I don't even know if I talked about this on here, but I couldn't figure out how to fill out the paperwork online, like to download it. Like, you couldn't go in and answer it. It was so confusing the way that they had it set up. So I said to her, just because I wanted to make sure, I said, if I can't figure it out, people think because I have a YouTube channel, I'm super technological. I'm just not. I mean, it's just, I'm not at all. And I said, if I can't figure it out, can I just come there early and then fill it out? She's like, oh yeah. She's like, we just want to make it easier for you. And so there was something I was going to say about that, about the other place. I can't remember. But anyway, and since Alex goes there already, they had all, like, she checked all of my insurance information and got all that taken care of, so that was awesome. And then yeah, and so then I got off the phone and I called the imagery center that I had the MRI taken. And I really thought that was going to be some huge issue. I don't know why. The thing was, I didn't want to have to go back to the other doctor's office, right? And I just didn't want to have to deal with that anymore. And so, not like they're beating down my door to talk to me, because they're just not, you know what I mean? Like, they could care less, I think. But, so, because I said to her on the phone, I said, do you need my blood work? And she said, no, we don't need your blood work. And she said, is it in your chart? And I said, yeah. And she's like, yeah, then don't worry about it, because, like, you can look my stuff up. I can look my stuff up online and get that for them. So, but anyway, so I called the imagery place, and I was like, yeah, I've got to get this imagery, like, can I get this imagery disc and whatever? And they were like, yeah, all you have to do is bring in an ID, and we can just print that off for you really quick. It takes like 5 minutes. And I was like, well, how much does it cost? And they're like, oh, nothing, it's free of charge. And I was like, and he was so nice on the phone. He was like, yeah, he was like, just whenever you're available, just come in. And, you know, I was like, okay. So he was like super, super nice. And, got all that taken care of, and then I was like, okay, I'm ready to go do a review now. I felt like it literally lifted my spirits. Like, I can't even explain to you guys how much better I felt after I talked to the doctor and started kind of like taking things back in my own control, you know? It was just, it felt really nice too. I feel like I have direction again. I think I'm gonna go down here. Feeling like I have direction again with what I'm doing. And, I don't know, I just could tell by the questions that this woman was asking me that she kind of really, like, understood, like she deals with this a lot, you know? It was none of this, well, let's Google this together kind of deal, you know what I mean? It was like, you could tell that that's why I thought maybe she was his nurse or something, because you could tell she, deals with this a lot. Which made me feel very, comfortable and very safe. So yeah, got all that taken care of, and then went and did a review today. Went and got my coffee at Starbucks, and then I did a review of the Charli D'Amelio drink at Dunkin' Donuts. She's that little TikToker gal. That little TikToker gal, she's worth like tons of money, and she's super famous. She seems real sweet, doesn't she? I don't know. Some of those TikTokers get themselves into so much trouble, but she seems like one of the nicer ones. She's been in a little bit of drama, but not tons. Talked to my dad today. My dad's in Michigan. He is in Michigan at his, okay, so my dad's best friend when he was growing up was his church minister's son, and like 2 houses down neighbor. So they were best friends from like 4 or 5 all the way through like high school and college. And so my dad, I was talking to my dad today. This person, could you have your radio any louder, please? So I was talking to my dad today, I didn't even know that he was out of town. I was like, hey dad, blah, 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 whatever. I was like, what's going on? And he was like, hey, I'm in Michigan right now. Can I call you back? And I was like, he answered actually. And I was like, yeah. I was like, what are you doing in Michigan? He was like, well, I'm at so-and-so's house. It's a bunch of us up here from high school. We're all like hanging out, which I think is kind of cool. You know, that my dad's like 80 and they're all up there for high school, you know, like not a reunion, but like just kind of a get together or whatever. So he was having a good time, and then he called me back, and he was like, hey, he was like, I'm sorry. He was like, because I think he could tell on the phone. I called him actually before I called the doctor's office because I wanted to ask about this, if he had any other suggestions for a family physician. And so when he called me back, he was like, hey, I know you're super frustrated about your leg and your back, and I know that you're feeling hopeless. And he was like, I'm really sorry. And he was like, when I get back tomorrow, I'm more than willing to help you. Like, we'll find you a neurosurgeon if that's what we need to do. And, you know, we'll get this under check. And he was like, I'm really sorry about everything, you know, which he didn't need to take it. That's not his responsibility. You know what I mean? But that was nice. So that was that. It's interesting to me, like, seeing my dad at 80, you know, or Alex's grandma at 90, she sits there and she, like, I love that. She still, like, enjoys a beer, you know, or, like, I don't know why a beer cracks me up over wine. Like, I mean, she drinks wine, too, but, like, wine makes sense, right? But, like, she loves to sit there and have a beer, you know, like a Corona with a lime or something, you know, or she loves to dance, you know, and hell, just a couple years ago, we were taking her out for New Year's Eve, and, you know, then there's my dad, who just turned 80, and he's, like, you know, driving to Michigan for a weekend at a lake house, you know, and it's like, I mean, I've had a lot of, like, crap family stuff happen, you know, with, like, my mom passing away, my aunt and uncle passing away, not being really able to do a whole lot the last couple years of their lives. But, you know, with my dad, like, I mean, he's pretty much a go-getter for 80. Like, I have a lot of friends of mine whose parents are 80 and, like, in, you know, nursing homes or assisted living programs, and, or, like, living with them. They have to take care of them. And I worry about that a lot with my dad. I'm like, you know, I'm really, like, one of my fears with my dad has been in the past, that, you know, like, if, I've had a lot of friends of mine whose parents either had Alzheimer's or dementia, and saw it progressively happen with them, which is just so tragic and sad, you know? And, like, I think that's been one of my fears with my dad, especially since he's so like, independent and self-assured. I think that's probably difficult with everybody that goes through that, you know, but, I'm not gonna, you know. It was funny because I talked about, the other day on my video, my comments, I talked about, thinking about, like, Boo and Tucker not being here, and, like, in the future, like, that era being over, and there were so many people that were like, why are you borrowing trouble? Which is true, okay, but, and just live in the moment. And I agree with all those things. Those are things that I say, right? But it's also, like, there was one person that said, I think it's grief speaking. And I was like, absolutely, it is grief speaking, you know? Like, thank you. Like, I just went through losing a dog, you know, well, now it's been 9 months, I guess, but... And I think the other thing is that, like, I'm home all day long with these little guys. I mean, they're literally my life, you know? And, you know, having gone through this whole situation with Pee-Pee, that where he was so sick, you know, like, and he had heart disease, and he had, you know, kidney disease. I still, like, with Boo and Tucker, it's weird, like, so Alex put their plate of food, like, they wouldn't, both of them didn't finish their dinners yesterday, and so Alex kind of put it on a mutual plate, and then put it down in the kitchen. They won't touch it if you put it down in the kitchen floor, because they think that's for Pee-Pee. Like, that's where Pee-Pee eats. So that plate literally sat there with food on it all day long. They will not touch it. And, that wasn't what I was going to say. What was I going to say? I don't know. It's just hard, It's like, I think as you get older and the more loss that you've experienced, like, I would love to think that I live in the moment of, don't borrow trouble and, and I do live in the moment of trying to, if you watch collectively my vlogs, like, let's just be for real, okay? Collectively, if you've watched my vlogs in 4 years, how many days have I ever got on here and really just had, other than being like sad telling a story, how often have I got on here and just said, I'm in a really bad mood today? Like, seriously, maybe 10 days out of 4 years. So out of 1,200 days, I've had 10 days where I've said, so like, I really do live from the point of view of starting your day over and having the best day possible and all of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And I don't necessarily feel like acknowledging the fact that I'm going to be sad about and preparing for the fact that one day my dogs aren't going to be there is me necessarily being sad. I think that what it is for me is hopefully working through that emotion and that feeling, because I'm not somebody that believes in pushing down feelings. Like, if I have a feeling, I'm going to feel it, and I'm not going to feel bad about it, right? But, like, I feel like if I feel that emotion or if I feel that feeling, then maybe I can work through it to the point where, then I can just appreciate my time with Boo and Tucker, But if I don't, and I push it down, then if one of them gets sick, all of this stuff is with Pee-Pee and everything that happened is going to come back up again. And I don't want that, Like, I don't want to, just because Pee-Pee, went through all of this. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Just because Pee-Pee went through all this, I don't want to put that on Boo and Tucker and my experiences with them. I want it to have individual experiences with them. So I think it's important to feel your emotions appropriately at the time that you're feeling them and not push them down. At least that's what I believe. I still go into the kitchen. Like, this is weird, you guys. And, like, at night before I go upstairs to go to bed, sometimes, this is very much like, it's weird when it happens with my mom. Like, it very rarely happens anymore with my mom. But, like, I'll think to myself, oh, I should call Mom. It's, like, literally within 2 seconds, like, maybe even a second and a half, I think to myself, oh, I should call Mom and tell her. And the next second, I'm like, oh, she's gone, Like, it literally happens, like that. So it doesn't happen like it used to happen, like when my mom first passed away. But with Pee-Pee, I still go into the kitchen sometimes and, like, think to myself before I go to bed, like, I've got to give Pee-Pee his medicine. And, man, when I can see myself standing there with Alex. This was a couple days after, when we got back from Mexico, throwing Pee-Pee's medicine away. And I just had such a hard time throwing his medicine away. I just wasn't ready to let go of that yet, I just wasn't. That was so hard. I don't know, there was kind of like hope attached to that medicine for me. And it wasn't just hope for, I know this is going to sound corny, but it wasn't just hope for Pee-Pee living longer. It was hope for that life that we had of Pee-Pee, Boo, and Tucker, Alex, and I all in that time, capsule, stuck in time, for that to keep going. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just kind of felt like as long as he was taking the medicine and the medicine was working. So I think it was last night. It was either tonight earlier or last night. One of the dogs was coughing in bed. But it was just like a hack, like one hack up, kind of thing. But it so reminded me of Pee-Pee's cough. Like, I had totally forgotten about Pee-Pee's cough that he had. And, I mean, that was nightly that he had that. It was a lot during the day too, but like, I mean, he had that cough. It stopped. Let's talk about Pee-Pee's cough. I don't know. I had this dream that Pee-Pee lives in this house with my mom in heaven. There's not like really any doors or windows. It just kind of is this house and has this huge white bed. And he sleeps up in this white bed with my mom. And in the morning he gets up and it's kind of like dawn. And the sun hasn't, you know, quite, it's just coming up a little bit in the distance. And they're like right on this lake. And there's like this mist on this lake in this yard. And I can see Pee-Pee out there going, he loved to smell the air. He'd go like that, you know. Little guy. Summer is over. What will fall and winter bring us, I wonder? When did... Okay, so the quarantine for COVID started in March, right? March, April, May, June, July... March. I was going to skip September and August. March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So we're 7 months from where that started, which means we're 5 or 6 months away from it being a year. September, October, November, December, January, February. 6 months away from it having been a year since all of this started. Crazy to me. I'm hungry for breakfast. I was thinking maybe I would go to Einstein Bagels and then I would do like an Einstein Bagel review for my review channel, but we'll see. I haven't had Einstein Bagels in forever. Oh, I wonder if Bagel Fair is open this early. Do I have any cash? I never have any cash on me. They only take cash there, I think. I think I actually do have $5 in here somewhere. Oh, man. These are kind of like the fall days, in all honesty, that I don't love. Like, for me, fall is it's supposed to be 87 today, you guys. 87 or 88, and like 10% cloudy, so it means 90% sun. And if the pool is open and I can go up there, I'm going to the pool today. But these are kind of the fall days that, like, I don't love, like when the pools are closed and, you know, it's hot outside. It's like almost 90 degrees, but there's not really like a pool to lay out in if you don't have a private pool, you know what I mean? And then you're like at home just doing work and cleaning up, and I just don't love that. It's just not a lot of fun, you know what I mean? Like, somebody said to me the other day, I said something about something not being a whole lot of fun, and they go, well, who told you that life was fun all the time? I said, nobody told me that life was fun all the time, but like, you can enjoy what you're doing in life. Like, they just kind of looked at me like I was crazy, and I said, do you not, you know, like, it's a lot about, and this is somebody that has a pretty good life. I think that's always really frustrating to me when but seemingly, that people have seemingly good lives, right? You know, that financially they don't seem to have a lot to worry about, which I think is always our go-to, you know, but maybe that has nothing to do with anything in the world anymore. Hell, I don't know. But they seemingly don't have a lot to worry about from a financial point of view. And then they seem to have friends and family, beautiful home, you know, friends and family that love them, a beautiful home, you know, car, travel, you know, like, and then they complain all the time, like constantly, about like the circumstances of their life. And I'm just like, can we please find some gratitude? Like, I'm not even saying it, like, at this point, like, can we find gratitude to help you? I'm like, can we find some gratitude? Because, like, I don't really even want to hear it anymore, you know what I mean? Like, I just can't even go there anymore listening to people complain about how bad their life is when they have, like, this amazing life, and they have literally, they don't even respect their own life, you know? And I think the thing for me is, like, if you're that negative about things, then, and you are financially in a position to have somebody to talk to, that you can, like, you know, hire a counselor, a life coach, or a therapist, or whatever, go get somebody to talk to. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's just, it breaks my heart. It's sad. Alex told me that Bravo closed down over there. I want to go see if it did. He goes, yeah, Bravo closed down, this one by our house. I go, when? He goes, like 3 years ago. I go, I don't know about that. And then here's this Bravo over here that my aunt and Alex actually, was the last time that Susie was here? No, the last time that she was here, we went to Daddy Jack's, which is this restaurant off of Meridian. But was it the last time that Susie was here visiting? Well, the last time that Susie was here visiting when my aunt was alive, we went to Daddy Jack's. The time before that, we, so Susie was also, Susie was a year older than my mom and a year younger than my aunt. So they were in the Pi Phi house at the same time together. So she was also a good friend of my aunt's, because my aunt was a Pi Phi as well. So, I mean, she knew my mom first, or she knew my aunt first, because my aunt was, because Susie was a Pi Phi a year before my mom was. So anyway, Pi Phi, a Pi Phi, a Pi Beta Phi, be a Pi Phi all my life. I'm gonna have to hit all these bumper things. But the last time that, well, 2 times ago that Susie was here, when my aunt was alive, we ate at Bravo. Where is that alarm thing going off? Probably Bravo, and I'll pull right up to it. Look at those cute little pumpkins. They have such nice pumpkins. See, this is, what are we doing with pumpkins? Pumpkins, like, seriously? Bravo is not closed. Maybe the Castleton one is. Is it closed? Doesn't look like it. Watch, I'll pull up here and it'll be closed. It is closed. Oh my God, I can't believe it. How sad is that? Probably as I was saying that, everybody was like, yep, Peter, it's closed. That's so sad. I loved Bravo. Oh well. Can I get through here, or do I have to go straight if I go this way? Please tell me I can turn. Oh, the air smells so good. Smells like summer on the lake. I was always jealous of my friends who had, like, lake houses that they would go to on the weekend. I never got invited a lot. And I said to my dad one time, I said, Dad, I wish you had a lake house that we could go to on the weekends. And he goes, I live on a lake. You have a lake house. He's like, you have a lake house 365 days a year. I go, it's not the same thing. It really wasn't the same thing. MCL. Oh. What time does Panera open? I wonder if they have Panera cinnamon rolls. What do they have? That's good. For breakfast, do you think? Oh my God. Does Panera have anything new? You would think since I'm the food reviewer, I would know what's new out and what's not, right? I don't know what I'm gonna watch when I finish. It's so funny how, like, you guys, like, the comments that you make really, I don't think you really have any idea how much it affects, like, how I live my life. Like, I really don't think you do, you know? Like, you guys will say, try this, and so, like, I'm not saying I try everything that somebody says, but, like, it's funny how, like, certain comments from certain people, or, like, if it's worded a certain way, will make me go, like, you know, things that make you go, but you know what I mean? Like, so, like, I was talking about Ozark the other day, and Hunter commented in the comment section, and he said, I don't typically like, I don't know how he said it, like, mafioso kind of drug lord shows, which I knew it was kind of like a drug show, but I didn't know it was necessarily about that. I thought it was about a family that had to, like, repay this, like, drug debt because the dad, like, I don't know, like, did something to do with selling drugs and whatever, and they had, like, a year to resell it back or something like that, or pay it back. But he was like, but I really enjoyed Ozark. So then I was like, okay, I think maybe I will start Ozark, or at least watch an episode or two of it. Okay, I'm back. My battery died. I pulled into the Whole Foods Market parking lot to change my battery, but I also wanted to drive by Bagel Fair and see what time they open, in case I decide that I want to do this review over here. Ooh, their mums are pretty at Whole Foods. Oh, kind of, not really. It's kind of weird to me that that there are already pumpkins out. Our neighbors got gourds already. What time does Bagel Fair open? I thought it'd be open at 5:30 or something like that. Nope. God, all their bagels are out already, though. Oh, 7 a.m. No, I'm not waiting. He's cooking in there, though. I'm not waiting until 7 a.m. I think Einstein closes. Why do I feel like there used to be Einstein's right around here? I feel like Einstein's opens a lot earlier. I always feel like everything opens really early. Did I just say this? I think I did. I always feel like everything opens really early and then it doesn't. I always think everything opens like at 6 a.m. But I guess it doesn't. Like, Whole Foods must open early, though, because let's go by here and see what time it opens. Because all these people are parking in the parking lot. I think it's all the people that are going in there to work. But they could be, like, going in there to cook in the deli and stuff like that, maybe. These sandals that I'm wearing are not, like, I don't know why they're not feeling super comfortable today. But they're not. I probably cannot even see the time from here. Yeah, I can't see what time it says that it opens. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I wasn't planning on going to Whole Foods anyway. People call Whole Foods whole paycheck around here because it's so expensive, which it really is. But a good piece of fruit does taste, or does sound really good this morning to me, like mangoes or a pear. Something kind of soft and juicy, not like hard like an apple. I don't know why that sounds good to me this morning, but it does. It's kind of hot in here. My mom used to eat fruit for breakfast all the time, and my mom loved to watch Dr. Oz on TV. And basically whatever Dr. Oz said to do was what her thing was for the week. You know, if he said eat blueberries, she was eating blueberries every day of the week. 'Cause they had like, you know, were good antioxidants or whatever. And it's not an Einstein's, it's a Jimmy John's. It's right there. I thought it was an Einstein's, but it's not. And so, you know, she would always go through these like things you're supposed to eat that are like the best things in the entire world, you know, for you. Even though she would eat a gallon of ice cream because it'd be on sale for, you know, she'd have these coupons from the grocery store that was like a gallon of ice cream, 50 cents or $1. And she'd get like a gallon of vanilla ice cream and she would just sit there and eat the whole thing. And then she'd call me, you know, because she would watch like the night. My mom didn't have cable like majority of her life. Towards I think it was like her last 5 or 6 years, I can't remember when, my aunt and uncle got her cable and a new TV to watch the Oscars because they wanted her to have like clear reception. Maybe 10 years before she passed away. I don't know. But she didn't have cable like the whole time I was growing up. She didn't believe in it. She'd say, I don't believe in paying for something that should be free, is what she would say. So we always had like the dog ears, you know, and the antennas and stuff. But she would watch the evening movie every night from like 9 to 11. And then she would watch the evening news from 11 to 11:30, the local news. And then my mom loved to watch like Johnny Carson or, you know, Jay Leno or whoever. And then David Letterman. She loved to watch like all of like the late night shows. And so she would, like, while she was watching the whatever movie was on from 9 to 11, they don't do that as much as they used to, I don't think, anymore now because of cable and stuff, but you remember it was, like, such a big deal back in the day when, like, some, like, blockbuster hit would come out on mainstream television, you know, and you got to watch it, and you haven't been able to watch it forever, you know, because you couldn't rent it and things like that. It wasn't on cable. So I would call her, well, first of all, I'd call her, I've told this story on here before, but I'd call her at like, you know, 10:45 just to say hi, and she'd say, I only have 15 more minutes of my show, can I call you back at the end? I'd say, yeah. So, she'd call me back, and she'd say, oh my God, my stomach hurts so bad, and I'd be like, well, what's wrong, Mom? Oh, I just ate this gallon of ice cream, I don't know why I do this to myself all the time. My mom was like not a heavy woman either, she was like rather thin and petite, and, she would just gorge herself on this ice cream, and then she would be so sick. I don't know why she did it to herself. And in retrospect, I wonder if she was like lactose intolerant towards the end of her life. Maybe that's why it hurt her. She drank milk always. My grandma shrunk. My grandma was like 5 foot the majority of her life, and then when she passed away, she was like 4'10", and she was like hunched over kind of. And my mom said that she had osteoporosis, and she believed it was because she didn't drink her milk. That's what my mom swore. And so she would always say, you have to drink your milk, or you're going to end up like shrinking like Grandma did. My mom would always say that. Isn't it funny the things that your family says to you that you like they truly believe, you know? Speaking of restaurants closing, I didn't know Fridays was still open. I was thinking about that statement that I made about my grandma, and then my, you know, mom saying that and me saying that. It's interesting the things that, you know, your parents tell you or your family tells you that like are almost kind of unbelievable. Okay, Alex told me that Fleming's, the steakhouse that my aunt and uncle used to always take us to, went out of business. I cannot believe it went out of business. I'm looking at it right now. It says for lease over it. I'm just floored. All these businesses closing down. It's just so incredibly sad to me. I just can't believe it. But you think about that on a deeper level, you know, and I always question things, you know, that my family said to me. And my family didn't really say that many questionable things to me. Like, they just really didn't. I mean, they didn't say things to me that would really make me think, wow, like, that's kind of weird that you think that way, or why should I think that way? You know what I mean? Like, But I think, you know, it's interesting, like, being in families that have, like, deep-seated hatred towards certain groups of people and things like that. Like, I guess I don't really know anybody. I'm, like, trying to think. I don't really know anybody. Well, I have friends of mine who, like, have very religious backgrounds, whose family members just, like, are so, like, they just do not believe in homosexuality. It's not that they don't believe in it, they just believe that it's so hardcore a sin, you know? Several years ago, maybe 2 years ago, I think it was, I think it was when my aunt was still alive, maybe. So maybe it would have been my first year of my vlog. I got this email from somebody. It was so, like, I read it. Was it from my vlog or was it from when I wrote the article? It would have had to have been from my vlog because people would have had to have seen Alex and I together. But I got this email from somebody, and they had grown up, like, in an extremely evangelical household, and they were married to somebody, it was a woman, and they were married to somebody evangelical, and they were evangelical themselves, and they had raised their kids evangelical and whatever, and they were absolutely just not for homosexuality. And they had started watching me somehow, and over time, like, had really grown in love and compassion and realizing that, like, maybe the way that they were thinking was not how they should be, you know? And they, like, wrote me this really heartfelt email or letter. I can't remember if it was a letter that I received or an email. I think it was an email. Because I remember, like, I sent it to my aunt. I'm only remembering bits and pieces of this story. There's probably some of you out there that, like, were watching at the time that remember this. But I remember I sent it to my aunt, and my aunt sent it to her minister to church, and her minister, like, read it. But I said that it had to be kept completely anonymous, because this woman, I asked her. Yeah, it would have been an email, because I think I asked her if I could send it to my aunt's or to my aunt to give to her minister. But it was basically about this woman, like, really realize that, like, God wouldn't want us to, like, hate people, and she didn't know why she had felt so oppositional to that for so long, and that, like, by watching Alex and I and seeing that we were just this couple with our dogs and whatever, just this absolutely normal couple, you know, that she could, like, really, like, change her thinking in her head. It was such a powerful email, you know, and, like, that's all I've ever wanted to do. I'm not somebody that believes in, you know, forcing people to change their belief system. I've only ever wanted to show somebody, look, this is who I am. This is why I tell my story of recovery too, you know, to normalize that for people so they can see somebody that they are like, oh, I watch Peter, or I know Peter, and, you know, like, Peter is sober, or Peter can stay sober and do this, so, you know, maybe my sister Judy can, you know, or, you know, Peter and Alex are gay, and they're married, and they have very normal lives, and their families love them, and they have just dogs, and live it together, and have a very normal life, you know, and, like, maybe my son or daughter can have that someday, or maybe I can have that someday, you know? That's all I've really ever wanted. It's not like I'm hoping for this huge change in the world. I realize that I'm pretty limited in my impact on the world. I think most of us are pretty limited on our impact on the world. You know, Einstein Bagels is open, I think. Starbucks is open, so I could definitely do a Starbucks review. Oh my God, look at that line at Starbucks. Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. Anyway, but I think a lot of us are very limited, you know, in our impact on the world. But I think that we have to think about it in a different way, no matter who you are. Let's say you only know 2 people, okay? Or it doesn't even matter really who you know. It's, I think, really in, like, maybe you... Okay, so I'm watching Grace and Frankie. Okay, if you guys have not watched it. There's an episode, and if I ruin this for somebody, I'm sorry, you guys, but I just have to tell this because it's such a fantastic analogy. So Robert, who is played by, what's the Sheen guy? Not Charlie Sheen, but his dad. Why can't I think of his name? Anyway, he and his husband, Saul, who are, anyway, it doesn't matter. So he has to go to the funeral of this guy that he does not remember from being in the Navy with, okay? And his wife specifically invites him. So he gets there, and his wife, he doesn't remember this guy that he was in the Navy with at all. And when he gets there, this car behind me is a Mercedes, and it has like one of those light up Mercedes emblems in the front. What is that? It's kind of cool. I would like to have that. Have you guys seen these? I don't know what that is. Like the Mercedes emblem in front is like lit up. Like the lights. That's cool. I've never seen that before. Am I new? I know. But he goes to this funeral, and then the wife asks him to speak, and he's like, I don't remember this guy. And so he gets up there and he tells this story that's just kind of like blanket story about how he told somebody to like buck up one day kind of thing, you know? And so while he's speaking, this woman's talking to his husband and saying, is this Robert Hansen or Robert Henson? And so his husband's like, oh my God, like they got the wrong guy, right? And so when he's leaving, they're leaving, the Sheen guy, why can't I think of his name? Damn it. But he says I've told this story because my dad like has gone to painting or to sculpting classes with he and his wife. My dad and my stepmom have. Why can't I think of his name? Anyway, he says to him, says to the wife, he's like, I have to be honest with you, like, I'm not who you think I am. I'm not this Henson. And she goes, I know that. She goes, you're Robert Hansen. And, oh, because the woman in the funeral is like, Robert Henson saved him and pulled him out of the water and saved his life, right? And so she says, Robert, and he goes, I'm not Robert Henson, I'm Robert Hansen. And she goes, I know who you are. And she said, do you not know what you did for my husband? He told your story over and over and over again his whole life. And he's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And she said, well, Robert Henson held that over. He goes, Robert Henson saved your husband's life. And she goes, I know that. And he held it over my husband's life, hold it over his head his whole entire life. We even started like a scholarship for his son to go to college or something. And she goes, but your husband, or she goes, but you did something for my husband that you don't remember. And she said, one weekend, my husband was not at, like he was not on, he almost got in trouble and got kicked out of the military because he didn't shine his shoes. But Robert from the show shined his shoes. And his husband looks at her and goes, he always does like a good pair of shined shoes. And she goes, and he goes, so that's what you're thankful for, is that I shined his shoes? And she goes, that was the weekend that I met my husband. She goes, had you not shined his shoes, he would have been kicked out of the military. But he had a military career his whole life, something to that effect. And that was the weekend that he got to meet me, you know? And so, like, he starts crying in the show. I'm getting, like, teary-eyed even telling it. But it's like, you don't realize the impact you have on somebody, you know? Just by doing good deeds and doing good things and trying to be a good person. Like, it's... You know what I mean? Like, you don't really realize the impact that you have. And it could be something small that you have on the world. So that's why I always say everybody's a storyteller. You know, tell your stories and make sure that you know, do all that. Like, it's important, you know. I don't know. Anyway, I think I'm gonna get off here now. I'm like, I don't know how long I've been vlogging for, but I think I'm like at about an hour or something like that. I think about people in my life that have affected me or impacted my life in small ways that have like ended up becoming huge things. You know, it's like I had this jazz poetry teacher in undergrad that said, he wrote on a paper, this was during while I was still using, I had to like write some poem, and he wrote, do not burn out in a frenzy of creativity like Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix and so many others. And something like you have a creative fire inside of you. And don't let it mute you. I've thought about that so many times, you know, like that, just that one statement that he wrote on a paper that he probably doesn't even remember writing, you know. So many people that reached out their hand to me when I felt so lonely. I felt like nobody cared, you know? I really saw the compassion of strangers, you know, when I was like, when PB passed away, speaking of like PB, and we were in Mexico, and we had gotten, let's say, I don't know, 5 to 10 really nasty messages from people, really horrific things. But we got literally thousands of unbelievable comments from people. And my husband would just lay there in bed after we would go to the beach for the day, you know, and he would just read one after the other. And it was just, and he would respond to people. And it, number one, kept him busy. And number two, I don't think he really realized in that moment how much that little dog had really affected people, you know, and really helped people. And I'm so happy that he got to see that, because, you know, I got to see that every day when I would hold PP up in a video, and people would be like, oh, I love PP, you know, PP the flying chihuahua and all that. Oh, no, shut up. I hit Siri.
Canceled, thank you.
But, you know, like, I got to see that every day. And Alex just asked me the other day, he's like, will you get me one of those PP the Flying Chihuahua sweatshirts from your merch shop? And I was like, yeah, babe, of course. But, like, I got to see that. Like, you know, he didn't get to see that. And so when he just was, like, flooded with all of this love from people on his Instagram, it was like, you know, you can look at the hate or you can look at the love. And there's so much love there. And it was just so, overpowering. And it's like, I think people think, oh, well, if I send a message, what will my message mean? It's like, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter, right? No, it really does. It really does, you know? You're one more person that shows that you care. It's like asking yourself when you go, like, I should go to this funeral, or should I not? Or should I go to this wedding, or should I not? You know, it's like you're one more person that's making that person, you know, that experience for them special, that it means something, you know, that their life means something. And it's this great collective, I think. So I don't know. All right, you guys, listen, I'm going to get off here now, and I'm going to take Stephanie's advice tonight, and I'm just simply going to say that I will see you guys tomorrow. Oh, God, this is so weird. It's so weird. Oh, my gosh. And I love you. Bye. Love ya.